Williams Nwaneri is a highly touted edge rusher who could actually move over to defensive line and defensive tackle if he puts on more weight, who committed to Missouri last week. And Eli Drinkwitz decided to stage a watch party for him committing as if they got accepted into the NCAA tournament in a very pathetic, embarrassing way. We made fun of it, and then Missouri fans cried about us making fun of it because we're such an important program, Missouri, and he really wanted to come to Missouri, and we're going to be so great at recruiting in the future because we're Missouri. It was hilarious. They got so mad.
We're going to do something about the British voice.
That wasn't a British voice. That was a whiny voice. My British voice is totally different.
Yeah, Missouri is whiny, and Williams Nwaneri is not going to end up at Missouri. I'm going to go ahead and make a recruiting prediction right now. He's not going to end up there. I was talking to some people over the weekend. Oklahoma's still all over him. Tennessee's not going to quit. Here is the reason that he went to Missouri. Okay. And this is pretty easy. It's the difference between having an investor who you tell somebody this guy's going to invest in you and sitting down and saying, Caleb, I'm going to invest in you. And that's essentially what Eli Drinkwitz did. There was a law passed last week, 2 days before Williams Nwaneri committed to Missouri, that said a coach or an administrator or representative of the university could be, as is a state law, could be in negotiations with a player and a third-party representative, which most oftentimes at Tennessee would be what? Spire Sports, and could be a part of that negotiation. So Eli Drinkwitz, this is an easy sales position. I mean, listen, Caleb, if somebody sits down and they say, you make the pitch and I'm willing to pay this guy, what, $3 million to be one of the top edge rushers and come to your school. Well, that's pretty easy. So you're able to sew it up without a lot of moving parts. Let's say I'm hiring Caleb. Okay. I sit down with a third party. Now, if I tell Caleb that I've got a third party that wants to fund off the hook sports and wants to be an investor, he's got to trust not only me, but he's got to trust the investor, right? I mean, the investor could pull. When the three of us sit down and I say, this is on me, I'm Eli Drinkwitz, I'm Dave Hooker at Off the Hook Sports. This guy is going to pay you, and you know him, and you know he owns 40, I don't know, whatever, Burger Kings in the Missouri area. So you don't ever have to worry about your money. And I'm giving you my word of honor that you're going to get that money. I've worked in sales. That's a much easier sales pitch than saying this group is going to do something for you, which I'm not even supposed to say under the current rules under most states, right? I'm supposed to just turn it over to them, hope they don't bumble it up, which they very well could. I'm sure Spire Sports at some point has bumbled one of these. I'm sure that every single collective has bumbled one up. Not to the Jaden Rashada at Florida where, hey, sorry, son, you have to go home. Not to that point, but I'm sure they've all been bumbled. So we talked about this a little bit last week. What in the world is Tennessee's legislative branch waiting on? How hard is this to pass? You have seen the economy explode in Knoxville. And that's the second biggest city. Is Memphis second or is Knoxville second? I think Knoxville's second.
Well, Memphis, are you talking? Oh, Knoxville's the third biggest in the SEC.
No. Yeah, Nashville's number one. Memphis talking about the state of Tennessee.
Yeah. Knoxville's 3.
Knoxville's 3 behind Memphis?
Yeah.
Memphis and Nashville. Memphis. Okay. You have your third biggest city that has undergone this economic explosion because of one thing, Josh Heupel, Tennessee's football program. I'm telling you, while there may be a recession everywhere else, and yes, it is affecting Knoxville. I talk to people, boots on the ground, that own businesses. It ain't horrible in Knoxville. So what is the Tennessee legislative branch doing in not getting this done like now, like yesterday? Caleb, this has to be done. I'm calling them out. I'm saying right now, If you agree with me and you're watching live, hit like and subscribe. If you see this video, I'm going to ask you to do something that I don't ask. I'm going to ask you to share it. I'm going to ask you to like it. I'm going to ask you to turn your notifications on. And the reason being is I want this little person, Dave Hooker, yelling out into the backwoods to have a voice and they hear me in Nashville, because this would take approximately 48 hours to draw up and to vote. These guys don't care. And besides that, Caleb, you know politics. If they can look like they're supporting the University of Tennessee, Caleb, that's votes right there, buddy. I mean, that's politics. Even if you're an Alabama fan who somehow manages to work their way up the legislative branch in the state of Tennessee, and you can pass a law that helps Tennessee football, you're getting more votes. People are going to remember you. They may be hardcore conservative and you're hardcore Democrat. Doesn't matter. You've got a couple of votes from just doing this when the midterms come up. This has got to be done yesterday. It makes sense. It helps Tennessee football. If this isn't on your radar as a person in the legislative branch of Tennessee, you are tone deaf. You need to get this involved and start the process, because that is why Missouri got Williams Nwaneri. It's not because he loves their urban studies program.
So it's funny you say that, because you're right. And you can sell this as a player-friendly bill, because you can say, look, we just want the players to understand, we want the players in the schools to be negotiating in good faith, and we want the players to have all the information available to them before they commit. So you could actually sell this as this is a fair to the players type of bill, and it's to protect them from not being cheated out the way Jaden Rashada was cheated out when he was trying to negotiate back in the day. And that's where I am with this. So I agree with you. I don't know why Tennessee doesn't do it. And Tennessee has been ahead of the curve on NIL for a while. They have. Spire Sports is the best NIL initiative in the country. The state legislature needs to catch up to the university. Put it that way.
Okay.
And
so why hasn't it already been done? If Spire's so great, why did they not have? And I'm not singling out Spire. If Spire and Tennessee are so great, how do they not have a lobbyist? Why are they not? I mean, surely, I don't know how lobbyists work exactly. Do lobbyists lobby for different things, or are they just gun lobbyists, tobacco lobbyists?
No, yeah, lobbyists lobby for different things. One of the issues is that while Tennessee is far and away the largest brand of alumni base in the state, I don't know if it's an above 50%. So Missouri is the only FBS program in Missouri. That's it. So they can get what they want. But Tennessee, there is still Vanderbilt alumni. There's still MTSU alumni. There's still Memphis alumni. And those are all FBS programs too. And I wonder if, and those three programs probably don't really love the idea of NIL or doing this. I think that's stupid, because I think, honestly, if you're Vanderbilt, NIL is your best chance to succeed. Because honestly, I think that you could maybe work with local businesses in Nashville and try to cobble up some money to help kids stay in Nashville that want to stay in Nashville. And the same with Memphis. I think NIL can actually help some of the urban schools that are not that good at football programs.
Here's the other thing. How many of these companies have CEOs that are Tennessee fans? And that if you called them and you said, I want you to be in on these negotiations, I think you could bring a lot to the table. And this guy's really important. And his name's Nico whatever. And you need to be in on these negotiations. You would truly help us. And then you're playing a little bit of the card of, you're my buddy, I'm Josh Heupel, and you get them involved in the negotiations. Are you telling me a guy that that goes over spreadsheets, that has all these meetings, and he's got a football meeting in the middle of his day with one of the top prospects from wherever, and now we can all do Zoom? He doesn't have to be there in person. It's not like he has more important things to do. And you can be on a meeting with the prospect and Josh Heupel that you're not going to be there. That's a cool meeting in the middle of the day. That's almost as good as taking a lunch break.
Yeah, but if you're focused solely on your bottom line as a CEO of a company, maybe the issue is they don't want this because they want to crack down on NIL, because they want to save themselves from themselves. The same way NFL owners like to be safe from themselves.
But groups like Weigel,
they don't want to have to shell out this much money to lure players in.
But groups like Weigel's, who just signed Squirrel White, I mean, they've got discretionary income. They're not spending every.
I know they would.
They're not spending every.
They would rather
marketing dollar just on the perfect stuff.
No, but they would rather even redirect that discretionary income. I mean, and the thing is, if you can, this is why they want Congress to step in, by the way. They want Congress to push down the amount of money that people are allowed to spend. They want a cap. They want a hard cap on NIL spending so they don't have to compete with everybody else to try to get these players. And that's what look, billionaires care about protecting themselves from themselves. That's how NFL owners are, because quite honestly, I think a hard cap in the NFL is the stupidest thing in the world. They pretend it's about competitive balance. Well, that's just not true, because if you worry about competitive balance, that's revenue sharing. Revenue sharing brings competitive balance, not a hard cap. The hard cap is so they don't have to spend more money than they want to keep players to try to win.
True. So you picked it apart a little bit, which I wanted you to do. But at the end of the day, would you agree with it that Tennessee needs to pass this law?
Yeah, I think they should pass it just for the players' sake. I think players have the right to know what's promised to them and if that promise is in good faith or not.
Amen. And if you got the guy who's the CEO at Weigel's or whoever it is saying that I'm signed off on this, and I can present you with some sort of paperwork that you can look at it, you can't sign while you're a prospect, then it's done and done. Williams Nwaneri went into that meeting, I'm sure, wondering how much money, wondering how solid it would be, because Missouri is not a premier football program. And when he went in that meeting with Eli Drinkwitz, he came out knowing exactly how much money he could get. Other schools are not afforded that opportunity to sit in on the meeting. So you got to have these third-party meetings. And what did he say? How did that meeting go? Stuff that just I've been a part of a lot of big negotiations. That just complicates matters, and they can fizzle and fall apart. And I would not hesitate to say for a moment there is a school that Williams Nwaneri liked every bit as much as Missouri, but they made it cut, clean, dry, easy. Just like when you go and you join a membership somewhere and they start adding on a parking fee and they start adding on this enrollment fee and they add on all this stuff, it gets complicated. And then you're like, oh gosh, I had no idea. Make it simple. Josh Heupel sits down, says CEO of brand X is going to pay you this. Boom. Easy. That's a recruiting visit. He's already doing it. You get the guy on Zoom. I'm sure he's got an iPad. Do it. Do it, do it, do it. Whenever you do your headline that catches SEO attention, this has to be your strongest one, because we are trying to make change in the legislative branch of Tennessee. We have moved beyond football here, but it'll help football a lot.